Hello. Happy Wednesday. Am I a little out of focus? Yeah. Yeah, maybe it's okay. How's everyone doing this wet and rainy Wednesday? Oh, there we go? What do you mean, there we go? Did I come into focus? Wasn't showing me at first. Oh. I didn't have my ring of invisibility on. So I see a farmhouse. Farmhouse had no video. Oh, alright, weird. Is anyone else in the chat room yet? I don't think so. Well, as per usual, we'll give people a little bit of time to trickle in. Hopefully, the new Wednesday schedule doesn't throw people off too much. Enriker! Happy Wednesday! Is it wet and rainy on your edge of the world? It is quite wet here, which makes walking the puppy a little trickier. We need to dig out his raincoat again, his little bright green raincoat. I almost had to turn on the heat. Oh boy, I didn't notice. It has been a bit chilly in here today. I think it was only like 14 degrees today or something like that. So, quite chilly. I still have the stack of books beside me here that I need to put away. Erica won't be chatting much because she's running a bath now. Gonna read and bath. So relaxing. Alright. Yeah, that sounds, I don't know. Baths are definitely one of my ways to relax. Are you going to bring us with you so you can listen? Or are you going to read something yourself? Our new book. Bath is nice for warm. Yeah, there are some times where I'm just like, I don't know, some fashion or other, I just feel like I get chilled down to the bone and I'm like, I gotta go climb into a hot bath so I can just be surrounded with heat. Nice cloak, say the Sharkies. Thank you very much. It's probably just going to be for the first little bit of this book. If you haven't read this book before, oh, Eric Erman, listen to me read. Okay, cool. I'm glad you're going to be here for the beginning of the book. If you haven't read this book before, or if you've forgotten the beginning, the cloak is for the beginning of this book. You'll find that out pretty shortly. It's just my my purple cloak, but turned inside out. So that's what's going on there. Is Farmhouse worried that I'm providing spoilers? Is that why the shush? So, we're starting a brand new book, which is pretty exciting. There's going to be some unique challenges. Oh, don't give it away that it's just my purple cloak. I see. I mean, no, I have a variety of cloaks. I do have at least one other cloak. I suppose this is this is halfway between a cloak and a robe. I mean, it's open in the front, so I guess it's almost more like a jacket because it's open, but it's got sleeves. I don't know. I wonder what the what category this falls under officially. Yeah, guards. So this is technically the 8th Discworld book, I believe. Yeah, the 8th Discworld book, but you're not going to be missing out by starting here. This isn't continuing another story. There are, like, the city of Ankh-Morpork, which this book is set in, is, like, introduced in other books first, and so there might be characters that have had appearances before, but you're not missing out, like, on any origin stories or anything like that. There's not going to be any plot that you need to catch up on, really. in that regard. This is the first book of the Guards series of books. There's quite a few of them that continue off of this one. And a lot of character development, things like that, that will come. And I think the Guard series is my personal favorite out of the Discworld. Probably maybe followed by the Witches. Something like that. It's a lot of fun. There will be some tricky parts for in reading this. For example, I'm going to have to figure out what to do about the footnotes in here, because frequently there'll be, I think this book does it with numbers and not asterisks. And some of his books, I think some of his earlier books, he did footnotes with like an asterisk and then a note at the bottom. But then in some of the books, I think including this one, sometimes a single page will have multiple footnotes on it. And yeah, so he's done numbers. And so you'll be reading a sentence, and partway through the sentence, there'll be a little number by one of the words and the footnote that follows. And so I don't know whether I should finish the sentence and then read the footnote, or stop exactly where that number is on that word and read the footnote, which would make the sentence probably a little more difficult to understand. So I don't know. What do you guys think? I'm thinking I should probably finish the sentence. And I'll try not to miss footnotes, but I know when I'm reading the book myself, frequently I'll read a whole page, then notice there's a footnote in the bottom and be like, hey, where did that come from? And I'll have to go back up and find the number where it is, because, yeah, sometimes I don't know, you just skim past, well, not skim past, but like, you don't notice the little number sometimes, or at least I don't. Pharma says I would finish the sentence or thought if it ends on a comma. Eriker says I would read it to us the way I read it in my head. I'll try. Another challenge with this book is going to be, and Pharma says, BTW, if a cloak or cape has sleeves, it is considered a coat or robe. Okay, well, I would think a robe, yeah, I would generally think a robe doesn't open in the front, right? Like a robe is almost like a dress, I think. So I would consider this to be kind of a coat. A coat cloak. Yes, bathrobe. I was thinking about that one, but I feel like that's an exception. Like, I feel like that's just it's one word. A bathrobe is its own thing. That's neither a coat nor a robe. It's a bathrobe. Another thing with this book, another issue I'm going to have to deal with, is there are no chapters. To show you the first page as an example, we don't have a number at the top here. It just goes, and there are breaks in the book where there'll be like I don't know exactly how to what to call it, if it's like a page break or what, but there'll be like a line of asterisks. But those aren't exactly chapter breaks. I think those are more like scene breaks. Farmo says eye roll is also one word. So I guess I'll just try and keep an eye on the clock, and when we've reached what feels like a good place to stop after 45 minutes or an hour or whatever, then we'll just stop there. Ooh, I can smell the dust coming out of this book when I flip through the pages. Which isn't to say that it hasn't been read much, but it is apparently a little dusty. So this book was first published in 1989. I think that the one that I'm holding is from a 1990 printing, I think. So it's around, 30 years old, roughly, this bundle of paper I'm holding in my hand. Robe is like ankle length or longer. Oh, this is pretty close to ankle length. Close. So how's everyone's oh, the Sharkies agrees, tough call between the guards and the witches. Yeah. Yeah, they're both excellent series and they both have great characters. Um so, I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure. The latest date that I can see in this book says 1990. It says printing history. Golan Golan Golan's edition published 1989. Corgi edition published 1990. Um, so I don't know. I don't see any other years in this inside the cover. Sharkies have the Corgi edition from 1990. Yay! Are you guys? Do you have it with you to read along, or? And so what are you reading now? Now that you've finished The Hobbit, now that I've finished The Hobbit, and I am not going on to Lord of the Rings at this time, are you reading The Lord of the Rings next, or taking a break, or have you picked up a new book? So I'm just looking inside the cover here. We've got our image of Sir Terry Pratchett in the iconic black hat. Erica is reading the Southern Reach trilogy. Ooh, interesting. What's that? Is that like science fiction or Sharky's different cover? Sharky has the book to read along, and yes, tonight he'll be reading Lion. Right. Lion Witch in the Wardrobe. Yes, that's exciting. Those are some very interesting books and well written. Um, I always find the end of the whole series to be kind of strange, personally. But yeah, great books. Different cover. I'm curious what yours looks like, because I really find I love the Josh Kirby artwork. I know we have some of the more recent books, Discworld books that just have like a pretty like a black cover with maybe a symbol on the front or something like that. They're a lot more serious and adult looking, perhaps. But I quite like these detail filled, kind of cartoony covers. What's our chat look like at this point? Well, there's a couple of names here we've got that I don't necessarily recognize. Isobe, is Isobe one of the people that came along with our friend Lily Faye? Maybe not. But I see Isobe in our chat list and have this too. So those aren't names that I recognize, but welcome. Erica says Southern Reach is, yes, science fiction. The first Southern Reach is Annihilation, which got adapted into a movie that missed the point of the book. That seems to be a very common thing to happen, isn't it? Where you've got adaptations that just, they've got maybe some of the plot points from the book or like some of the visual things that got described in the book, but they really don't quite hit the mark. Farmo says that's unfortunate. It's always disappointing to have a book made into a movie like that. Yep, definitely. I love Ghibli movies, but I haven't been able to bring myself to watch Earthsea because mainly because having read Howl's Moving Castle and watched Howl's Moving Castle, and while they're both fantastic, and I'm sure that the Ghibli adaptation of Earthsea probably is as well, it's just they're not even anything close to the same. There are characters, Howl is similar, not the same. That whole bird monster thing that happens with Howl, not in the book at all. I don't know where that bird monster thing came from, or the war, the actual whole war, which is a huge plot point in Howl's Moving Castle, the animation, is not in the book at all. And there are like entire characters in the film that are like 3 or 4 different characters from the book, kind of just crammed together. Pharma says the war is in the book. The war is mentioned in the book, but like the whole bombing thing, all of the like really like action isn't really in the book. I don't remember that being in there. Sharkies haven't forgot that Ghibli did Earthsea. He hasn't seen it yet either. Ericer says the Earthsea movie is very forgettable. Well, that's unfortunate. Pharma says is in the book. You just only hear about it vaguely. Okay, well, that's fair. What I meant was that it's not this huge, like, driving force in the book the way it is in the film. Erica says the tone is completely unrecognizable between the two. But yes, like Pharma says here, both the book and movie for Howl were good. I did enjoy both of them. I think I maybe also read the sequel, because there's a sequel to Howl's Moving Castle, right? I feel like I read that, but I don't really remember it. Paramos has heard that not good things about the Earthsea movie. Yes, Castle in the Air. Right. All right, well, it's nearly 20 after 7, so we should probably get started on this if everybody's settled and ready. So, why don't we begin with the dedication? I always like to read the dedication of a book if it's at the beginning. Sharkies say, for me, part of what I like about Ghibli adaptations of English books is how they interpret and change cultural bits through a Japanese lens. That's a good point. And yeah, I do like Ghibli films. I don't know. I think it's just that Wizard of Earthsea is, special to me, and so I'm kind of just so apprehensive about really looking at any kind of adaptation of it. Yeah, dedications. I like to read the dedication if it's at the beginning of the book. I think it's the author put it there for a reason, right? It means something to them, and so it's not like it takes a lot of time. Dedication is just kind of right at the beginning here. That's another thing I'm gonna have to figure out is there's no illustrations in this book, and I've been using the illustrations when I post the chapters on YouTube as the like thumbnail images. So I'm gonna have to figure out what I'm gonna do about that. It's probably just gonna end up being a picture of me, reading, because I don't know what else to do. All right, so the dedication for Guards by Sir Terry Pratchett. Although at the time that this was written, I don't believe he had been knighted yet. They may be called the Palace Guard, the City Guard, or the Patrol. Whatever the name, their purpose in any work of heroic fantasy is identical. It is, round about chapter 3, or 10 minutes into the film, to rush into the room, attack the hero one at a time, and be slaughtered. No one ever asks them if they wanted to. This book is dedicated to those fine men. And also to Mike Harrison, Mary Gentle, Neil Gaiman, and all the others who assisted with and laughed at the idea of L space. Too bad we never used Schrodinger's paperback. I think that already kind of gives you the idea of what kind of book this is going to be. All right, I'll have a little drink of my tangerine cherry water before I tangerine cherry lemon, actually. Everybody ready? This is where the dragons went. They lie. Not dead, not asleep, not waiting, because waiting implies expectation. Possibly the word we're looking for here is dormant. And although the space they occupy isn't like normal space, nevertheless they are packed in tightly. Not a cubic inch there, but is filled by a claw, a talon, a scale, the tip of a tail. So the effect is like one of those trick drawings, and your eyeballs eventually realize that the space between each dragon is, in fact, another dragon. They could put you in mind of a can of sardines, if you thought sardines were huge and scaly and proud and arrogant. And presumably, somewhere, there's the key. In another space entirely, it was early morning in Ankh-Morpork, oldest and greatest and grubbiest of cities. A thin drizzle dripped from the gray sky and punctuated the river mist that coiled among the streets. Rats of various species went about their nocturnal occasions. Under night's damp cloak, assassins assassinated, thieves thieved, hussies hustled, and so on. And drunken Captain Vimes of the Night Watch staggered slowly down the street, folded gently into the gutter outside the watchhouse, and lay there while, above him, strange letters made of light sizzled in the damp and changed color. The city was name? Thing. Woman. That's what it was. Woman. Roaring, ancient, centuries old. Strung you along, let you fall in thingy, love with her. Then kicked you in a thingy. Thingy, in your mouth, tongue, tonsils, teeth. That's what she did. She was a thing, you know. Lady dog. Puppy. Hen. Bitch. And then you hated her, and, just when you thought you'd got her, out of your whatever, then she opened her great booming rotten heart to you, caught you off thing. Ants. Yeah, that's it. Never knew where you stood. Lay. Only thing you were sure of, you couldn't let her go. Because she was yours. All you had. Even in her gutters. Should have prepped myself better for that little diatribe. Monologue? I don't know. It wasn't in quotation marks, so it caught me off guard. Farmo says, not being terribly familiar with sardines and their tins, that line about the key confused me for a while when you first read this. Ah, yes, because sardine tins have the little twisty lid. And drunk Vimes thoughts, yes. Damp darkness shrouded the venerable buildings of Unseen University, premier college of wizardry. The only light was a faint octarine flicker from the tiny windows of the new high-energy magic building, where keen-edged minds were probing the very fabric of the universe, whether it liked it or not. And there was light, of course, in the library. The library, to be noted here, every time library is mentioned, it is capitalized. The library was the greatest assemblage of magical texts anywhere in the multiverse. Thousands of volumes of occult lore weighted its shelves. It was said that, since vast amounts of magic can seriously distort the mundane world, the library did not obey the normal rules of space and time. It was said that it went on forever. It was said that you could wander for days among the distant shelves, that there were lost tribes of research students somewhere in there, that strange things lurked in forgotten alcoves and were preyed on by other things that were even stranger. Footnote 1. All this was untrue. The truth is that even big collections of ordinary books distort space, as can readily be proved by anyone who has been around a really old-fashioned second-hand bookshop. One of those that look as though they were designed by M. Escher on a bad day, and has more staircases than stories, and those rows of shelves which end in little doors that are surely too small for a full-sized human to enter. The relevant equation is knowledge equals power equals energy equals matter equals mass. A good bookshop is just a genteel black hole that knows how to read. End of footnote. Wise students, in search of more distant volumes, took care to leave chalk marks on the shelves as they roamed deeper into the fusty darkness, and told friends to come looking for them if they weren't back by supper. And, because magic can only loosely be bound, the library books themselves were more than mere pulped wood and paper. Raw magic crackled from their spines, earthing itself harmlessly in the copper rails nailed to every shelf for that very purpose. Faint traceries of blue fire crawled across the bookcases, and there was a sound, a papery whispering, such as might come from a colony of roosting starlings. In the silence of the night, the books talked to one another. There was also the sound of someone snoring. The light from the shelves didn't so much illuminate as highlight the darkness, but by its violet flicker, a watcher might just have identified an ancient and battered desk right under the central dome. The snoring was coming from underneath it, where a piece of tattered blanket barely covered what looked like a heap of sandbags, but was in fact an adult male orangutan. It was the librarian. Not many people these days remarked upon the fact that he was an ape. The change had been brought about by a magical accident, always a possibility where so many powerful books are kept together, and he was considered to have got off lightly. After all, he was still basically the same shape. And he had been allowed to keep his job, which he was rather good at, although allowed is not really the right word. It was the way he could roll his upper lip back to reveal more incredibly yellow teeth than any other mouth the University Council had ever seen before that somehow made sure the matter was never really raised. Looks like Farmos is having fun. Lost tribes of research students, Copper conducts magic apparently, and librarian. But now there was another sound. The alien sound of a door creaking open. Footsteps padded across the floor and disappeared amongst the clustering shelves. The books rustled indignantly, and some of the larger grimoires rattled their chains. The librarian slept on, lulled by the whispering of the rain. Lily Faye! Hey, we were talking about you a little earlier. You love the hood? Why, thank you. You're just here for the beginning of our new book, Guards, Guards, by Sir Terry Pratchett. We're just on page 12 right now. Farmo says, ook. Good book. You've read it? Oh, good. It's one of those books that I feel like almost everyone should read. And here we go. In the embrace of his gutter, half a mile away, Captain Vimes of the Night Watch opened his mouth and started to sing. Now, a black-robed figure scurried through the midnight streets. Ah, here we go. No songs in this one, though. Now a black-robed figure scurried through the midnight streets, ducking from doorway to doorway, and reached a grim and forbidding portal. No mere doorway got that grim without effort. Very bard, yes, that's what I was saying. A very bard-like portal. No mere doorway got that grim without effort, one felt. It looked as though the architect had been called in and given specific instructions. We want something eldritch in dark oak, he'd been told. So put an unpleasant gargoyle thing over the archway, give it a slam like the footfall of a giant, and make it clear to everyone, in fact, that this isn't the kind of door that goes ding-dong when you press the bell. I've gone blurry. Oh no. I wonder if I need to clear the lens on my my camera. I guess I was leaning in too much. Back here, camera. Hey, focus up. Is it because I'm too much in shadow with the hood? Doesn't want to focus on me. Hey, over here. Hey, look at me, camera. Look at me. Ah, whatever. It's fine. Maybe try the book. What, you want me to focus it back like this? Oh, it worked. Hey, good idea. Oh boy, I don't know. I wonder if I need to get a different camera. This one seems to have some focusing problems. Or if I need to update the software maybe, or firmware. Well, whatever. We were talking about a doorway. And a dark-robed, a black-robed figure. Now you see why I'm dressed like this for this stream? The figure rapped a complex code on the dark woodwork. A tiny barred hatch opened, and one suspicious eye peered out. "The significant owl hoots in the night," said the visitor, trying to wring the rainwater out of its robe. "Yet many grey lords go sadly to the masterless men," intoned a voice on the other side of the grill. "Hooray! Hooray for the spinster's sister's daughter!" countered the dripping figure. "To the axeman, all supplicants are the same height." "Yet verily, the rose is within the thorn." "The good mother makes bean soup for the errant boy," said the voice behind the door. There was a pause, broken only by the sound of the rain. Then the visitor said, "What?" "The good mother makes bean soup for the errant boy." There was another, longer pause. Then the damp figure said, "Are you sure the ill-built tower doesn't tremble mightily at a butterfly's passage?" "Nope. Bean soup it is. I'm sorry." The rain hissed down relentlessly in the embarrassed silence. "What about the caged whale?" said the soaking visitor, trying to squeeze into what little shelter the dread portal offered. "What about it?" It should know nothing of the mighty deeps, if you must know." "Oh, the caged whale! You want the Elucidated Brethren of the Ebon Night. 3 doors down." "Who are you, then?" "We're the Illuminated and Ancient Brethren of E." "I thought you met over in Treacle Street," said the damp man, after a while. "Yeah, well, you know how it is. The Fretwork Club have the room Tuesdays. There was a bit of a mix-up." "Oh? Well, thanks anyway." "My pleasure." The little door slammed shut. If you're wondering why I said caged whale, it's because there's an accent over the E. The robed figure glared at it for a moment, and then splashed further down the street. There was indeed another portal there. The builder hadn't bothered to change the design much. He knocked. The little barred hatch shot back. Yes? Look, the significant owl hoots in the night, all right? Yet many grey lords go sadly to the masterless men. Hooray, hooray for the spinster sister's daughter, okay? To the axemen, all supplicants are the same height. Yet verily the rose is within the thorn. It's pissing down out here. You do know that, don't you? Yes, said the voice, in the tones of one who indeed does know it, and is not the one standing in it. The visitor sighed. The caged whale knows nothing of the mighty deeps, he said, if it makes you any happier. The ill-built tower trembles mightily at a butterfly's passage. The supplicant grabbed the bars of the window, pulled himself up to it, and hissed, Now let us in! I'm soaked! There was another damp pause. These deeps. Did you say mighty or nightly? Mighty, I said. Mighty deeps, on account of being, you know, deep. It's me, Brother Fingers. It sounded like nightly to me, said the invisible doorkeeper cautiously. Look, do you want the bloody book or not? I don't have to do this. I could be at home in bed. You sure it was mighty? Look, I know how deep the bloody deeps are, all right, said Brother Fingers urgently. I knew how mighty they were when you were a perishing neophyte. Now will you open this door? Well, all right. There was the sound of bolts sliding back. Then the voice said, Would you mind giving it a push? The door of knowledge through which the untutored may not pass sticks something wicked in the damp. Brother Fingers put his shoulder to it, forced his way through, gave Brother Doorkeeper a dirty look, and hurried within. The others were waiting for him in the inner sanctum, standing around with the sheepish air of people not normally accustomed to wearing sinister hooded black robes. The Supreme Grand Master nodded at him. Brother Fingers, isn't it? Yes, Supreme Grand Master. Do you have that which you were sent to get? Brother Fingers pulled a package from under his robe. Just where I said it would be, he said. No problem. Well done, Brother Fingers. Thank you, Supreme Grand Master. The Supreme Grand Master rapped his gavel for attention. The room shuffled into some sort of circle. I call the unique and supreme lodge of the Elucidated Brethren to order, he intoned. Is that a good intoning? Maybe not. I could intone a little better. Is the door of knowledge sealed fast against heretics and knowless men? Stuck solid, said Brother Doorkeeper. It's the damp. I'll bring my plane in next week. Soon have it. All right, said the Supreme Grand Master testily. Just a yes would have done. Is the triple circle well and truly traced? Art all here who art here? And it be well for an knowlessman that he should not be here, for he would be taken from this place, and his gaskin slit, his mools shown to the four winds, his welchet torn asunder with many hooks, and his figgin placed upon a spike. Yes, what is it? Sorry, did you say elucidated, brethren? The Supreme Grand Master glared at the solitary figure with its hand up. Yea, the elucidated brethren, guardian of the sacred knowledge, since a time no man may wot of. Last February, said Brother Doorkeeper helpfully. The Supreme Grandmaster felt that Brother Doorkeeper had never really got the hang of things. Sorry, said the worried figure. Wrong society, I'm afraid. Must have taken a wrong turning. I'll just be going, if you'll excuse me. And his figgin placed upon a spike, repeated the Supreme Grandmaster pointedly, against a background of damp wooden noises as Brother Doorkeeper tried to get the dread portal open. Are we quite finished? Any more no-listmen happened to drop in on their way somewhere else? He added with bitter sarcasm. Right. Fine. So glad. I suppose it's too much to ask if the 4 watchtowers are secured? Oh, good. And the trouser of sanctity. Has anyone bothered to shrive it? Oh, you did? Properly? I'll check, you know. All right. And have the windows been fastened with the red cords of intellect in accordance with ancient prescription? Good. Now perhaps we can get on with it. With the slightly miffed air of one who has run their finger along a daughter-in-law's top shelf and found against all expectation that it is sparkling clean, the Grandmaster got on with it. What a shower, he told himself. A bunch of incompetents no other secret society would touch with a 10-foot scepter of authority. The sort to dislocate their fingers with even the simplest secret handshake. But incompetence with possibilities, nevertheless. Let the other societies take the skilled, the hopefuls, the ambitious, the self-confident. He'd take the whining, resentful ones, the ones with a bellyful of spite and bile, the ones who knew they could make it big if only they'd been given the chance. Give him the ones in which the floods of venom and vindictiveness were dammed up behind thin walls of ineptitude and low-grade paranoia. And stupidity, too. They've all sworn the oath, he thought, but not a man-jack of 'em has even asked what a figgin is. Brethren, he said, tonight we have matters of profound importance to discuss. The good governance, nay, the very future of Ankh-Morpork, lies in our hands. They leaned closer. The Supreme Grandmaster felt the beginnings of the old thrill of power. They were hanging on his words. This was a feeling worth dressing up in bloody silly robes for. Do we not well know that the city is in thrall to corrupt men, who wax fat on their ill-gotten gains, while better men are held back and forced into virtual servitude? We certainly do, said Brother Doorkeeper vehemently, when they'd had time to translate this mentally. Only last week, down at the Bakers' Guild, I tried to point out to Master Critchley that... Crichtley, maybe? It wasn't eye contact, because the Supreme Grandmaster had made sure the Brethren's hoods shrouded their faces in mystic darkness, but nevertheless he managed to silence Brother Doorkeeper by dint of sheer outraged silence. Robot Kyo's not too late. Hey, welcome, Robot Kyo. Yes, we're only on page 19, although you did miss some good occultism. Oh, right, you have read this before. You forgot these guys. I should go back and check up on what's happening. Let's see, Firemouse has been saying some things. She loves that exchange, just the idea that both secret societies have the same long call and response up to a point, and then the doorkeeper is caught up on the one word. So mysterious finger wiggles. Don't dislocate your fingers. Trousers of sanctity. You like the getup? It's perfect. Yes. Yeah, this was definitely just for this scene specifically. All right. So, sheer outraged silence. Yet, it was not always thus, the Supreme Grandmaster continued. There was once a golden age, when those worthy of command and respect were justly rewarded. An age when Ankh-Morpork wasn't simply a big city, but a great one. An age of chivalry. An age when... Yes, Brother Watchtower. A bulky robed figure lowered its hand. Are you talking about when we had kings? Well done, brother, said the Supreme Grand Master, slightly annoyed at this unusual evidence of intelligence. But that was all sorted out hundreds of years ago, said Brother Watchtower. Wasn't there this great battle or something? And since then we've just had the ruling lords, like the patrician. Yes, very good, Brother Watchtower. There aren't any more kings is the point I'm trying to make, said Brother Watchtower helpfully. As Brother Watchtower says, the line of... It was you talking about chivalry that gave me the clue, said Brother Watchtower. Quite so, and you get that with kings, chivalry, said Brother Watchtower happily. And knights, and they used to have these... However, said the Supreme Grand Master sharply, it may well be that the line of kings of Ankh is not as defunct as hitherto imagined, and that progeny of the line exist even now. Thus, my researches among the ancient scrolls do indicate. He stood back expectantly. There didn't seem to be the effect he'd expected, however. Probably they can manage defunct, he thought, but I ought to have drawn the line at progeny. Brother Watchtower had his hand up again. Yes? You saying there's some sort of heir to the throne hanging around somewhere? Said Brother Watchtower. This may be the case, yes. Yeah, they do that, you know, said Brother Watchtower knowledgeably. Happens all the time. You read about it. Scions, they're called. It's spelled with a K. They go lurking around in the distant wildernesses for ages, handing down the secret sword and birthmark and so forth from generation to generation. Then, just when the old kingdom needs them, they turn up and turf out any usurpers that happens to be around, and there's general rejoicing. Alright, what are people saying here? Farmouse says, make Ankh-Morpork great again. Robot Keo says, Mamga hats. Sharkies, lol, I was thinking they sound a lot like QAnon followers, but I wasn't going to be the one to bring it up. Lily Faye thinks my voices make her so happy. Farmo says, I know, it's too bad that it's not make Ankh great Morpork again. Then it could be magma. Nice. Magma. No, you don't want it to be too catchy. Alright. General rejoicing. The Supreme Grand Master felt his own mouth drop open. He hadn't expected it to be as easy as this. Yes, all right, said a figure the Supreme Grand Master knew to be Brother Plasterer. But so what? Let's say a scion turns up, walks up to the patrician, says, What ho, I'm king, here's the birthmark as per spec, now bugger off. What's he got then? Life expectancy of maybe 2 minutes, that's what. You don't listen, said Brother Watchtower. The thing is, the scion has got to arrive when the kingdom is threatened, doesn't he? Then everyone can see, right? Then he gets carried off to the palace, cures a few people, announces a half-holiday, hands round a bit of treasure, and Bob's your uncle. He has got to marry a princess too, said Brother Doorkeeper, on account of him being a swineherd. They looked at him. Who said anything about him being a swineherd? Said Brother Watchtower. I never said he was a swineherd. What's this about swineherds? They looked at him. Oh, no, I'll skip back.
He's got a point, though, said Brother Plasterer. He's generally a swineherd, or a forester, or similar, your basic scion. It's to do with being in what's name, cognito. They've got to appear to be of, humble origins.
Nothing special about humble origins, said a very small brother, who seemed to consist entirely of a litter perambulatory black robe with halitosis. I've got lots of humble origins. In my family, we thought swineherding was a posh job. I'm losing track of the voices here.
But your family doesn't have the blood of kings, Brother Dunnikin,
said Brother Plasterer. We might have, said Brother Dunnikin sulkily.
Right then, said Brother Watchtower grudgingly. Fair enough. But at the essential moment, see, your genuine kings throw back their cloak and say, Lo! And their essential kingsness shines through. How exactly? Said Brother Doorkeeper.
Might have got the blood of kings, muttered Brother Dunnikin. Got no right saying I might not have got the blood of...
Look, it just does, okay? You just know it when you see it. But before that, they've got to save the kingdom, said Brother Plasterer.
Oh, yes, said Brother Watchtower heavily. That's the main thing, is that? What from, then? Got as much right as anyone to might have the blood of kings.
The patrician, said the Brother Doorkeeper.
Brother Watchtower, as the sudden authority on the ways of royalty, shook his head.
I dunno that the patrician is a threat exactly, he said. He's not your actual tyrant as such. Not as bad as some we've had. I mean, he doesn't actually oppress. I get oppressed all the time, said Brother Doorkeeper. Master Crutchley, where I work, he oppresses me morning, noon, and night, shouting at me and everything. And the woman in the vegetable shop, she oppresses me all the time. That's right, said Brother Plasterer. My landlord oppresses me something wicked, banging on the door and going on and on about all the rent I allegedly owe, which is a total lie. And the people next door oppress me all night long. I tell them, I work all day. A man's got to have some time to learn to play the tuba. That's oppression, that is. If I'm not under the heel of the oppressor, I don't know who is.
Put like that, said Brother Watchtower slowly, I reckon my brother-in-law is oppressing me all the time with having this new horse and buggy he's been and bought. I haven't got one. I mean, where's the justice in that? I bet a king wouldn't let that sort of oppression go on. People's wives oppressing 'em with, why haven't they got a new coach like our Rodney and all that. The Supreme Grand Master listened to this with a slightly light-headed feeling. It was as if he'd known that there were such things as avalanches, but had never dreamed when he dropped the little snowball on top of the mountain that it could lead to such astonishing results. He was hardly having to egg them on at all. I bet a king'd have something to say about landlords, said Brother Plasterer. And he'd outlaw people with showy coaches, said Brother Watchtower. Probably bought with stolen money, too, I reckon. I think, said the Supreme Grand Master, tweaking things a little, that a wise king would only, as it were, outlaw showy coaches for the undeserving. There was a thoughtful pause in the conversation, as the assembled brethren mentally divided the universe into the deserving and the undeserving, and put themselves on the appropriate side. Let's see what. Oh boy, I see some lines here. I gotta go up a little ways. Let's see. Oh, I've got to scroll up to catch up with what you guys are saying. Um, Sharky would like to see this on stage. Robot Kyo says, ha, it would make a pretty great play. Farmhouse thinks it may have been adapted into one. No, some of his books have. Sharky's, either way, I'm loving the dialogue. Erica dried her hands to check in. This is an excellent way to have a bath. This scene is hilarious. It feels like a fantasy Monty Python scene. Robot Kyo says, oh, you're totally right. It has been adapted into a play. That would be pretty great. Erica agrees. It would be so good as a play. Lilyface says, oh, the outrage. Farmhouse, oh man, your voice is with the scene, and I'm just holding it in, trying not to laugh out loud. Robot Kyo was trying in his head to do voices while reading one of his books the other day and ran out. There are too many. If you hear little squeaks coming through in the background, it's not mice, says Farmhouse. It's Farmhouse. Farmhouse is the mice. Got no right saying I mightn't have the blood of kings. Robot Kyo, not hearing it yet. I think you're far enough, mouse. Farmhouse, oof, I can't get a haircut. I'm being impressed. Too real. Erica says, tell me the guards are white without telling me the guards are white. These are not guards. They are mystic brethren, or elucidated. A little light on the mystic. Erica, tell me the elucidated brethren are white without telling me the elucidated brethren are white. There you go, says Farmhouse. Thank you. Sharkies. Gets a little bit Animal Farm with their logic about who's deserving. Oh boy. Okay, I'm caught up on the chat. Ahem. All right, where was I? It'd be only fair, said Brother Watchtower slowly. But Brother Plasterer was right, really. I can't see a Scion manifesting his destiny just because Brother Doorkeeper thinks the woman in the vegetable shop keeps giving him funny looks. No offense. And bloody short wait, said Brother Doorkeeper. And she... Yes, said the Supreme Grand Master. Truly, the right-thinking folk of Ankh-Morpork are beneath the heel of the oppressors. However, a king generally reveals himself in rather more dramatic circumstances. Like a war, for example. Things were going well. Surely, for all their self-centered stupidity, one of them would be bright enough to make the suggestion. There used to be some old prophecy or something, said Brother Plasterer. My granddad told me. His eyes glazed with the effort of dramatic recall. Let me see. Yea, the king will come bringing law and justice, and know nothing but the truth, and protect and serve the people with his sword. You don't have to all look at me like that. I didn't make it up. Oh, we all know that one. And a fat lot of good that'd be, said Brother Watchtower. I mean, what does he do? Ride in with law and truth and so on like the four horsemen of the Apocalypse? That's how it's spelled, Apocalypse. Hello, everyone, he squeaked. I'm the king, and that's Truth over there watering his horse. Not very practical, is it? No, you can't trust old legends. Why not? Said Brother Dunnikin in a peeved voice. 'Cause they're legendary. That's how you can tell, said Brother Watchtower. Sleeping princesses is a good one, said Brother Plasterer. Only a king can wake 'em up. Don't be daft, said Brother Watchtower severely. We haven't got a king, so we can't have princesses. Stands to reason. Of course, in the old days it was easy, said Brother Doorkeeper happily. Why? He just had to kill a dragon.
The Supreme Grand Master clapped his hands together and offered a silent prayer to any god who happened to be listening. He'd been right about these people. Sooner or later, their rambling little minds took them where you wanted them to go. What an interesting idea, he trilled. Wouldn't work, said Brother Watchtower dourly. There ain't no big dragons now. There could be. The Supreme Grand Master cracked his knuckles. Come again, said Brother Watchtower. I said, there could be. There was a nervous laugh from the depths of Brother Watchtower's cowl. What? The real thing? Great big scales and wings? Yes. Breath like a blast furnace? Yes. Them big claw things on its feet? Talons? Oh, yes. As many as you want. What do you mean, as many as I want? I would hope it's self-explanatory, Brother Watchtower. If you want dragons, you can have dragons. You can bring a dragon here, now, into this city. Me? All of you. I mean, us, said the Grand Master. Brother Watchtower hesitated. Well, I don't know if that's a very good... And it would obey your every command. That stopped them. That pulled them up. That dropped in front of their weaselly little minds like a lump of meat in a dog pound. Can you just repeat that? Said Brother Plasterer slowly. You can control it. You can make it do whatever you want. What? A real dragon? The Supreme Grand Master's eyes rolled in the privacy of his hood. Yes, a real one. Not a little pet swamp dragon. The genuine article. Oh, I better catch up on the chat. Let's see. All brethren are equal, but some are more equal than others. Farmos wants dragons. Robot Kyo, on a scale of 1 to all of them, how many dragons? Farmos says, scale. Sharkies are laughing at that. Robot Kyo, hi, missed that. Many. All right. Let's see. Not a little pet swamp dragon. The genuine article. But I thought they were, you know, myths. The Supreme Grand Master leaned forward. They were myths, and they were real, he said loudly. Both a wave and a particle. You've lost me there, said Brother Plasterer. I will demonstrate, then. The book, please, Brother Fingers. Thank you. Brethren, I must tell you that when I was undergoing my tuition by the secret masters... The what, Supreme Grand Master? Said Brother Plasterer. Robot Q would be pleased with a dragon. Why don't you listen? There we go. Sorry, wrong voice. Why don't you listen? You never listen. He said the secret masters, said Brother Watchtower. You know, the venerable sages what live on some mountain and secretly run everything and taught him all this lore and that, and can walk on fires and that. He told us last week. He's going to teach us, aren't you, Supreme Grand Master? He finished obsequiously. Obsequiously? Oh, the secret masters, said Brother Plasterer. Sorry, it's these mystic hoods. Sorry, secret, I remember. But when I rule the city, the Supreme Grand Master said to himself. There is going to be none of this. I shall form a new secret society of keen-minded and intelligent men, although not too intelligent, of course, not too intelligent. And we will overthrow the cold tyrant, and we will usher in a new age of enlightenment and fraternity and humanism, and Ankh-Morpork will become a utopia, and people like Brother Plasterer will be roasted over slow fires if I have any say in the matter, which I will, and his Figgin. Footnote 1. All right. A Figgin is defined in the Dictionary of Eye-Watering Words as a small, short-crust pasty containing raisins. The dictionary would have been invaluable for the Supreme Grand Master when he thought up the Society's oaths, since it also includes welchet, a type of waistcoat worn by certain clockmakers, gaskin, a shy gray-brown bird of the coot family, and moules, a game of skill and dexterity involving tortoises. End of footnote. Still talking about dragons, Farmo says especially little ones, but also a big one for travel and naps. Robot Kyo says smaller would be preferable. I don't think we've got room for a full one. When I was, as I said, undergoing my tuition by the secret masters, he continued, that was where they told you you had to walk on rice paper, wasn't it? Said Brother Watchtower conversationally. I always thought that was a good bit. I've been saving it off the bottom of my macaroons ever since. Amazing, really. I can walk on it no trouble. Shows you what being in a proper secret society does for you, does that? When he is on the griddle, the Supreme Grand Master thought, Brother Plasterer will not be lonely. Your footfalls on the road of enlightenment are an example to us all, Brother Watchtower, he said. If I may continue, however, among the many secrets, from the heart of being, said Brother Watchtower approvingly. From the heart, as Brother Watchtower says, of being, was the current location of the noble dragons. The belief that they died out is quite wrong. They simply found a new evolutionary niche, and they can be summoned from it. This book, he flourished, gives specific instructions. It's just in a book, said Brother Plasterer. No ordinary book. This is the only copy. It has taken me years to track it down, said the Supreme Grand Master. It's in the handwriting of Tubal de Malachite, a great student of dragon lore. His actual handwriting. He summoned dragons of all sizes, and so can you. There was another long, awkward silence. Said Brother Doorkeeper. Sounds a bit like, magic to me, said Brother Watchtower, in the nervous tone of the man who has spotted which cup the pea is hidden under, but doesn't like to say. I mean, not wishing to question your supreme wisdomship and that, but, well, magic. His voice trailed off. Yeah, said Brother Plasterer uncomfortably. It's the wizards, see? Said Brother Fingers. You probably didn't know this when you was banged up with them venerable Herberts on their mountain. Herberts. But the wizards round here come down on you like a ton of bricks if they catches you doing anything like that. Demarcation, they call it, said Brother Plasterer. Like, I don't go fiddling with the mystic interleaved wasp names of causality, and they don't do any plastering. I fail to see the problem, said the Supreme Grand Master. In fact, he saw it all too clearly. This was the last hurdle. Help their tiny little minds over this, and he held the world in the palm of his hand. Their stupefyingly unintelligent self-interest hadn't let him down so far. Surely it couldn't fail him now. The brethren shuffled uneasily. Then Brother Dunnikin spoke.
Ha! Wizards! What do they know about a day's work?
The Supreme Grand Master breathed deeply. The air of mean-minded resentfulness thickened noticeably. Nothing, and that's a fact, said Brother Fingers. Going around with their noses in the air, too good for the likes of us. I used to see 'em when I worked up at the university. Backsides a mile wide, I'm telling you. Catch 'em doing a job of honest toil? Like thieving, you mean? Said Brother Watchtower, who had never liked Brother Fingers much. Of course, they tell you, Brother Fingers went on, pointedly ignoring the comment, that you shouldn't go round doing magic on account of only them knowing about not disturbing the universal harmony and whatnot. Load of rubbish, in my opinion. Well, said Brother Plasterer, I don't know, really. I mean, you get the mix wrong. You just got a lot of damp plaster around your ankles. But you get a bit of magic wrong, and they say ghastly things comes out of the woodwork and stitches you right up. Yeah, but it's the wizards that say that, said Brother Watchtower thoughtfully. Never could stand them myself, to tell you the truth. Could be they're onto a good thing and don't want the rest of us to find out. It's only waving your arms and chanting when all's said and done. The brethren considered this. It sounded plausible. If they were onto a good thing, they certainly wouldn't want anyone else muscling in. The Supreme Grand Master decided that the time was ripe. Then we are agreed, brethren. You are prepared to practice magic? Oh, practice, said Brother Plasterer, relieved. I don't mind practicing, so long as we don't have to do it for real. The Supreme Grand Master thumped the book. I mean, carry out real spells. Put the city back on the right lines. Summon a dragon, he shouted. They took a step back. Then Brother Doorkeeper said, And then, if we get this dragon, the rightful king'll turn up just like that. Yes, said the Supreme Grand Master. I can see that, said Brother Watchtower supportively. Stands to reason, because of destiny and the gnomic workings of fate. There was a moment's hesitation, and then a general nodding of cowls. Only Brother Plasterer looked vaguely unhappy. Well, he said, it won't get out of hand, will it? I assure you, Brother Plasterer, that you can give it up any time you like, said the Supreme Grand Master smoothly. Well, all right, said the reluctant brother. Just for a bit, then. Could we get it to stay here long enough to burn down, for example, any oppressive vegetable shops? Ah. He'd won. There'd be dragons again. And a king again. Not like the old kings. A king who would do what he was told. That, said the Supreme Grand Master, depends on how much help you can be. We shall need, initially, any items of magic you can bring. It might not be a good idea to let them see that the last half of de Malachite's book was a charred lump. The man was clearly not up to it. He could do a lot better, and absolutely no one would be able to stop him. Thunder rolled. Oh, it's 8:15.
Let's just finish this next paragraph, I think. It is said that the gods play games with the lives of men. But what games? And why? And the identities of the actual pawns, and what the game is, and what the rules are. Who knows? Best not to speculate. Thunder rolled. It rolled a 6. Like I said before, there's no chapters in this book, so I've just kind of got to pick a place to stop. All right. Farmos commenting on Wisdom Ship. Almost lost it again on Herbert's. Robot Kyo. When I first read this, it took me an unfortunate amount of time to figure out what a was name was. Was name, you know. Farmo says, yes, it's easier to understand if you say it out loud. Brother Watchtower is starting to sound like John Wayne. A little bit. Lily Faye asking if the chapter is super long. Yeah, it doesn't have chapters, as Farmo says. All right, good job. Yeah, so that's where we're going to stop. Farmos, you had to finish that bit, though. Such an amazing scene. On what die, though? That's a good question. I would assume, based on the time when the book was written, that it's probably just the D6. Not that D20s and such didn't exist, but I think they were less well known. Robot Kyo, a prophetic inquiry? Fair question, says Farmos. Robot Kyo says, a D3. Yes, rolled a 6 on a D3. So, that's the first 31 pages and a paragraph of Guards. I'm gonna say probably not the entire book follows this tone precisely. That scene with the enlightened or elucidated brethren is pretty over the top. But what an introduction to the book, huh? If this is the first Terry Pratchett you've been exposed to, which I think everybody here has read some Terry Pratchett before. Framos usually thinks the bits or scenes are shorter. Yeah, that was definitely a longer scene, for sure. Oh, boy. Sharky say, gotta know it's great when the narrator is laughing. Some of these bits were difficult to get through. And Brother Watchtower's voice is it's kind of killing me. Some of the parts in that book, or in that scene, the bit about demarcation. Like, I don't go around fiddling with the mystic interleaved was names of causality, and they don't do any plastering. Oh, man. Brother Watchtower just interrupting to like, I know what's happening here. Let me help. So, what does everyone think? Let me see. I know Robot Q, one of the Sharkies, I think Mrs. Sharky has read this before, and Farmos has read this before, and it sounded like Lily Faye was saying she had read this before. The Mrs. Sharky won't say yet which part, but her favorite part of the whole book involves the Brethren. Okay, fair enough. And this wasn't it? A different part? Okay. I wonder. I wonder which part. So yeah, and then Eriker hasn't read this one before, but has read at least some of a Pratchett book. And if I recall, Mr. Sharky has read some Discworld books, but not this one, if I'm remembering correctly. So we've got a good mix in the audience of people who are new to it and people who know what to expect. I do think that this is another one that's a little bit different to read aloud versus reading in your head. Although I have always found that Sir Terry's writing style makes it very easy for me to imagine it being read to me, even when I'm just reading myself. Um, the conversations flow somewhat like an actual conversation. You know, people misplacing words, or that bit about, like, did you say mighty or knightly? I feel like that's not something you get in books very often, is characters mishearing a word. Oh, we got someone that gets to be banned. Oh, two of them. What? Two at once? Wow, I missed one. Farmos was quick on the ban hammer. Good job. That was weird. Two bots coming in one after the other. All right. Farmos gets the moderator of the evening award. Farmos blows end of ban pistols. Farmos doesn't use a ban hammer. More ruthless than that. So yeah, I honestly, Farmos says, I was feeling the John Wayne. I don't know what else to say about what we read tonight. It's a good setup. Clearly, something's in the works regarding dragons. Erica has read 2 Pratchett novels before, but not this one. Okay, cool. I know you were saying that you weren't necessarily feeling at least one of the ones you read before, but hopefully you enjoyed this one. Robot Q, also having characters mispronounce things, and you have to be like, no, I know this. Yeah, reading out loud, and they say like apocalypse or something like that. I wanted to make sure that you guys know that. Plus, it's a good excuse, you know. Then if I do get a word wrong, I just play it off as part of the book. The password exchange at the beginning is so good. Nope, bean soup it is. I'm sorry. The caged whale. Myths. Yeah, I thought they were myths. Farmhouse has a puppy in her lap right now, so she's typing on her phone. Phone banning is very quick. Erica loved Good Omens. Yes, okay. Well, that's definitely true. And read it a few times, but didn't feel Color of Magic. But it deserves some grace. It's the first one. And Herbert's. Yeah, I agree about Color of Magic. It is, I think it's a good book personally, but it definitely feels clumsier in comparison to Sir Pratchett's later works. Erica is saying goodnight. I have to go essay. Wish luck. Thanks for reading to us. It was very funny. I'm glad you had fun. And yes, good luck on the essay. I think we're about ready to wrap up here. At least I think I'm ready to wrap up as well. Robot Kyo, Good Omens was co-authored with Gaiman, right? Who was in the dedication for this book. Neil Gaiman was mentioned. Everyone's saying goodnight to Erica, and I think I'm going to say goodnight to the rest of you as well. This was fun. I feel tired from laughing at the lines and also all of the, like, keeping track of voices and switching back and forth. I'm definitely going to get some of these voices wrong the next time they come up, I'm sure. I'm going to have to, like, come back to the video for this one and remind myself who's who. Oh, yes. Good Omens was co-authored. Lily Faye says, good night. Love you. Love you too, Lily. All right. Well, I hope everyone has a good rest of the week. It's not long to go now that we've changed schedules to Wednesdays and Fridays instead of Mondays and Fridays. So I will be back here this Friday. Same sleet time, same sleet channel, and same Pratchett book. And we'll continue with Guards, and we'll actually, I think, get a little bit more acquainted with some of our protagonists, with our more main characters. So have a good Thursday tomorrow. Have a good night tonight. Hope everyone sleeps well. And hopefully I'll see you all back on Friday and we can continue with this hilarious book and some of the insights contained within. All right. Have a good night, everyone. See you Friday. Dragon.